Ilara started planning Christmas almost 7 months early. Nobody knew about it. Every night after work, she sat alone in her apartment with her laptop open, searching for the perfect place. She compared resorts, private estates, chefs, decorations, winter activities. Everything. She wanted this Christmas to feel magical. Not expensive, not flashy, just warm, just happy. For once, she wanted her family to sit at one table without tension, without cold looks, without making her feel like an outsider. When she finally found the mountain estate in the Nyanga Mountains, her heart stopped. The place looked unreal. Huge glass windows overlooking snowy hills, stone fireplaces, heated floors, private spa rooms, a grand dining hall with golden lights hanging from the ceiling. Outside, snow covered the pine trees like something from a movie. It was the kind of place rich families posted online pretending they loved each other. Ilara booked it immediately. Then came the extras. A private chef flown in from Cape Town. Luxury gifts for everyone. Custom Christmas decorations in everyone's favorite colors. Even in Jerry's favorite imported desserts. Total cost, $480,000. Almost nobody knew Ilara had that kind of money now. She kept her business success private because every time she achieved something, her family either ignored it or used her for it. Still, she convinced herself this Christmas would be different. Maybe if everything was perfect, they would finally see her as family too. Maybe Safia would hug her the way she hugged in Jerry. Maybe Jabari would stop introducing her as Safia's daughter. Maybe for one night, she would not feel like a guest in her own family. Late one evening, Ilara stood by her apartment window holding the booking confirmation in shaking hands. Snow quietly fell outside. A small smile touched her face as she whispered to herself, "Maybe this year, they'll finally treat me like I belong." Ilara was 8 years old when Safia married Jabari. Before that, life had not been perfect, but at least she had felt loved. She still remembered how tightly her mother used to hold her hand in crowded places. How Safia would kiss her forehead before school. How she used to call her "my little star." But after the marriage, things slowly changed. Not suddenly, not loudly, just little things at first. Jabari never treated Ilara badly in front of people. That was the strange part. He was always polite, always calm. But there was a distance in his eyes that she noticed even as a child. When introducing the family, he would smile proudly and place his hand on Njeri's shoulder. "This is my daughter." Then after a pause, he would glance at Ilara. "And this is Ilara." Never "my daughter," just Ilara. At family dinners, Njeri sat beside Jabari while Ilara usually sat quietly at the corner of the table. If Njeri wanted something, everybody moved immediately. If Ilara spoke, conversations kept going like they didn't even hear her. Birthdays hurt the most. Njeri got huge parties, expensive gifts, professional cakes, and hundreds of photos posted online. Ilara got polite smiles and rushed dinners. One year, Safia forgot her birthday completely. Ilara waited the entire day, pretending it did not bother her. She sat on her bed holding her phone, hoping her mother would remember before midnight. She never did. The next morning Safia casually said, "Oh, I've just been stressed lately." But 2 weeks later, she spent thousands organizing Njeri's birthday yacht party. That was the moment Ilara realized something painful. She was not hated in that house. She was simply tolerated, like somebody temporary, somebody extra. As the years passed, Safia became colder too. Whenever Jabari complained about money, stress, or family image, Safia always seemed to pull away from Ilara a little more. And Njeri loved it. She would make small comments with fake innocence. "You're lucky mom even took you in." Or, "You're not really a Mensa anyway." Sometimes she said it jokingly in front of guests, making everyone awkwardly laugh while Ilara forced a smile. But the words stayed with her long after the room became quiet. The worst part was that Ilara kept trying. She worked harder in school, bought thoughtful gifts, helped with bills when she became successful, planned vacations, organized holidays. She spent years trying to earn love that was freely given to Njeri without effort. Deep down, Ilara always hoped one day her family would finally look at her and say, "You belong here too." But no matter how much she gave them, she always felt like someone standing outside a window, watching another family live the life she wanted. 2 days before Christmas, Ilara was sitting in her office finishing a late meeting when her phone suddenly started vibrating non-stop. First she ignored it, then the notifications kept coming, one after another. Family group chat, family group chat, family group chat. Her stomach tightened. Something felt wrong. The moment she opened the messages, her heart dropped. Sophia had sent a long angry message to everyone. Ilara cancelled the cabin reservation without telling anybody. Now the entire trip is ruined. Below it were dozens of messages flooding in. What is wrong with you? You always do this. So now we have nowhere to stay because of your selfishness. Injeri added fuel immediately. I told you all not to trust her with something this important. Another message came seconds later. She probably got jealous and ruined Christmas on purpose. Ilara stared at the screen in complete shock. Her fingers froze above the phone. Cancelled. What were they talking about? She never cancelled anything. The reservation was still active. She had personally confirmed it 3 days earlier with the resort manager. Before she could even respond, her phone started ringing. Jabari. She answered quickly. What's happening? She asked, confused. But Jabari didn't even let her finish. For once in your life, could you stop creating problems? He snapped. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Ilara sat up straighter in disbelief. I didn't cancel. You expect us to believe that? He interrupted coldly. Your mother is furious. Then he hung up. Just like that. A minute later another call came. Her aunt. Then a cousin. Then another relative she barely even spoke to. Everybody sounded angry. Everybody blamed her. Nobody asked for her side. One cousin laughed bitterly and said, You really couldn't stand seeing everybody happy for one Christmas? Ilara felt her chest tightening more with every call. It was like watching people throw stones at her while she stood there defenseless. Finally, she opened the booking emails herself with shaking hands. Reservation confirmed. Payment complete. Everything active. Nothing had been cancelled. Not a single change. Confused and panicking now, she called the resort directly. The receptionist checked everything carefully. Miss Mensah, your booking is perfectly fine, the woman said politely. There have been no cancellations on your account. Ilara went silent. Her mind started racing. If the cabin was still booked, then why was her mother telling everyone she cancelled it? Before she could process the thought, another message appeared in the group chat from Sophia. Because of Ilara, this family may not even have Christmas together now. And just like that, more angry messages poured in. No one defended her. No one questioned the story. It amazed Ilara how easily they believed the worst about her. As she sat alone in her dark office, staring at the glowing phone screen, one painful thought slowly settled into her chest. This family had been waiting for a reason to blame her, and somebody had finally given them one. Ilara sat alone in her office parking lot for almost 20 minutes, staring at her mother's contact name on the screen. Her hands were shaking. Part of her still believed there had to be some misunderstanding. Maybe Sophia was stressed. Maybe somebody lied to her. Maybe once they talked calmly, everything would make sense again. Finally, Ilara pressed call. The phone rang twice before Sophia answered. What? Her mother said coldly. No hello. No warmth. Just irritation. Ilara swallowed hard. Mom, why are you telling everyone I cancelled the cabin? I didn't cancel anything. The booking is still there. For a second there was silence. Then Sophia sighed like she was tired of dealing with her. You always make things difficult, Ilara. Ilara blinked in disbelief. What are you talking about? Paid for everything. I planned this whole trip for the family. Another silence. But this one felt different. Heavy. Then Sophia finally spoke again, her voice lower now. You should have understood something a long time ago. Ilara's chest tightened. Understood what? Sophia exhaled slowly. Christmas is for blood family only, not you. The world around Ilara went completely quiet. She stopped breathing for a second. Cars moved around her in the parking lot. Headlights passed across her windshield. Somewhere nearby, people were laughing. But inside the car it felt like time froze. Elara honestly thought she heard wrong. Her own mother could not have just said that. Not her. Not the woman who used to hold her when she had nightmares. Not the woman she spent years trying to make proud. Her voice cracked softly. "Mom." But Safia kept going. "You force yourself into things where you don't belong," she said coldly. "Jabari and Injeri are uncomfortable around you, but they've tolerated it for years." Tolerated it. That word hit harder than shouting ever could. Elara felt tears burning her eyes now. "All I wanted was one Christmas together," she whispered. Safia laughed bitterly. "You can stop pretending you're part of this family now." Every sentence felt like another knife turning deeper into her chest. Elara looked down at the steering wheel because suddenly she could not let herself cry out loud. Not while her mother listened. Not while Safia sounded so emotionless. "So that's it?" Elara asked quietly. "After everything I've done for all of you?" Safia's answer came instantly. "No amount of money changes blood." Silence filled the car again. A long, painful silence. Elara waited for her mother to soften, to apologize, to say she didn't mean it, but none of that came. Instead, Safia simply said, "Don't call again tonight." Then the line disconnected. Elara slowly lowered the phone from her ear. The screen went dark in her hand, and for the first time in her life, she finally understood something she had been trying to deny for years. No matter how much love she gave them, no matter how much money she spent, no matter how hard she tried to belong, they had already decided she never would. Elara barely slept that night. She kept replaying her mother's words over and over in her head. "Christmas is for blood family only, not you." Every time she closed her eyes, she heard it again. By morning, the pain in her chest had turned into confusion. Something about the entire situation felt wrong. If they truly did not want her there, then why were they still so angry about the cabin? Why did everyone keep talking like the trip was still happening? Around noon, Elara finally got her answer by accident. One of her younger cousins, Talia, called her privately. Unlike the others, Talia sounded nervous instead of angry. "Elara, I don't think you know what's actually happening," she whispered. Elara sat up slowly. "What do you mean?" There was hesitation on the other end. Then Talia quietly explained everything. Apparently, after the family found out how luxurious the mountain estate was, everybody became obsessed with the trip. Safia had spent days bragging about it to relatives. Jabari already told his business friends he would spend Christmas at one of the most exclusive private resorts in Zimbabwe. And in Injeri, she had been posting countdowns online about their luxury family Christmas getaway. But behind closed doors, they did not want Elara there anymore. Talia's voice dropped lower. "Injeri said the holiday would be more comfortable without you." Elara felt sick. "She told everyone you make things awkward because you're always trying too hard to fit in." Those words hurt more than Elara expected. Trying too hard to fit in. As if loving them had been embarrassing. Talia continued carefully. "The plan wasn't to cancel the trip. They just wanted you gone before Christmas." Elara's stomach dropped completely now. Safia told the family that Elara had decided not to come after some argument. Then later, somehow, the story changed into Elara canceling the entire reservation. But nobody actually checked with the resort. Nobody checked the account, because they all believed one thing. The cabin already belonged to them. They assumed Elara had paid for everything and stepped aside quietly like she always did before. Talia even admitted something else that made Elara's hands go cold. Injeri said once everybody arrived, you wouldn't have the confidence to make a scene anyway. Silence filled the call. Elara stared out the window of her apartment, her eyes unfocused. So this had all been planned. They never wanted her love. They never wanted her presence. They only wanted access to the life she paid for. The luxury, the status, photos, comfort. And somehow, they expected her to disappear quietly while they enjoyed it without her. What hurt the most was not even the betrayal itself. It was how confident they were that she would accept it, like they had spent years training her to stay silent while being pushed aside. But this time felt different. For the first time in a very long time, something inside Ilara stopped breaking and started becoming cold. Ilara spent the rest of the afternoon sitting alone in her apartment with all the lights off. Her phone kept buzzing across the table. Messages from family, missed calls, more blame, more anger. But she stopped opening them. For years, every argument ended the same way. She apologized. She explained herself. She begged people to understand her intentions. And somehow, she still became the villain in the end. This time she was too tired, too hurt, too empty. At some point during the evening, she walked into the bathroom and stared at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were swollen red from holding back tears. Not crying, holding them back. Because even now, some part of her still felt embarrassed to break down over people who clearly did not care. She leaned both hands against the sink and finally allowed herself to whisper the truth out loud. They were really going to celebrate without me. The words shattered something inside her. All those years trying harder, loving harder, giving more, paying more. None of it mattered. To them she was useful, but never truly wanted. A single tear rolled down her face, but she wiped it away immediately. No screaming, no dramatic revenge. No emotional message in the family group chat. Just silence. Cold, quiet silence. Then Ilara walked back into the living room, picked up her phone and searched for one contact. Malik Okonjo, her family lawyer. Well, technically not the family's lawyer anymore. Mostly hers. Malik answered almost immediately. "Ilara," he said gently. "Are you all right?" For a second she almost broke, because his voice sounded more concerned than her own mother's had sounded in years. But Ilara forced herself to stay calm. "I need you to handle something for me," she said quietly. Malik immediately noticed the change in her tone. Not sadness, not panic, something colder. "What happened?" he asked carefully. Ilara looked out the dark apartment window at the city lights below. Then she spoke slowly. "I want every financial connection between me and my family paused immediately." Silence. Malik did not interrupt, so she continued. "The vacation accounts, the secondary cards, trust access, everything connected to my money." Another long pause followed. Finally Malik asked softly, "Are you sure?" Ilara closed her eyes. She remembered Safia's voice. "Christmas is for blood family only, not you." Then she remembered something even more painful. Not one person defended her. Not one. When she opened her eyes again, the sadness was gone. "Yes," she said calmly. "Freeze everything." Malik inhaled slowly on the other end. Understood. That was it. No long explanation needed. No emotional speech. After the call ended, Ilara placed her phone down gently and sat alone in complete silence. Outside, Christmas lights glowed across the city. Inside, something inside her had finally gone numb. And for the first time in years, Ilara stopped trying to earn a place in a family that had already decided she did not belong. Christmas Eve arrived cold and beautiful in the Nyanga Mountains. Snow covered the roads and pine trees while expensive SUVs slowly climbed the mountain toward the luxury estate. Inside the cars, the Mensa family looked excited again. Like nothing had happened. Safia wore a designer coat and expensive jewelry, already planning photos for social media. Jabari kept talking about the resort's reputation to relatives on speakerphone. Injeri was the happiest of all. She sat in the back seat scrolling through old pictures of the cabin online. "Oh my God, the fireplace area is huge," she said excitedly. "Wait until everybody sees my Christmas photos." Nobody mentioned Ilara. Not once during the drive. It was like she had already been erased from the trip completely. As they reached the final private road leading to the estate, everybody started looking out the windows excitedly. Then the driver suddenly slowed down. The main security gate was closed. Jabari frowned immediately. "Why are we stopping?" The guard stepped outside the booth and walked toward the vehicles politely. "Good evening," he said. "Can I have the reservation name, please?" Safia smiled confidently. Mensa family. Luxury mountain estate booking. The guard checked the system on his tablet. A few seconds passed. Then his expression changed slightly. "I'm sorry," he said carefully. "I'm not seeing an active reservation under that name." The smile disappeared from Sophia's face. "What do you mean you don't see it?" she snapped. "This trip cost nearly $500,000. The guard checked again. Still nothing. Behind them, family members started murmuring nervously inside the cars. Jerry leaned forward impatiently. "Try Elara Mensa," she said quickly. The guard typed again. Another long pause. Then he looked up. "There is no active guest authorization under that name either." Silence. Complete silence. Jabari stepped out of the car now, clearly irritated. "There must be some mistake," he said sharply. "Call your manager." The guard nodded politely and made a quick phone call. Within minutes, the resort manager arrived wearing a dark winter coat. First, he looked calm and professional, but after checking the reservation system himself, even he looked confused. "I apologize," he said carefully, "but there is currently no active booking connected to your names." Sophia's face went pale. "That's impossible," she whispered. Jerry grabbed her phone immediately. "I have pictures of the cabin confirmation," she shouted. But when she opened the screenshots, the confirmation only showed photos and dates. Not authorization details. Not account ownership. The manager remained polite but firm. "Without active authorization, I cannot allow entry onto the property." Panic started spreading fast now. Relatives climbed out of the SUVs asking questions all at once. "What's happening? Where are we supposed to stay? It's Christmas Eve." Snow continued falling quietly around them while the freezing mountain wind cut through the air. And for the first time since this whole situation started, the family realized something was very, very wrong. The wind was getting colder on the mountain, but nobody in the family even felt it anymore. They were too focused on the locked gate, the failed reservation, and the growing embarrassment spreading through the group. Sophia kept calling different numbers. Jabari was arguing with the staff. Jerry was refreshing her phone again and again like the screen would magically fix the situation. And then headlights appeared. A black SUV slowly pulled up inside the estate grounds. The security guard immediately stepped aside. The car stopped, and a man stepped out. Expensive presents without even trying. It was Kofi Badu, the resort owner. The staff immediately went quiet. Even the manager straightened up respectfully. Kofi walked toward them slowly, his expression neutral, like he already knew why they were there. Sophia rushed forward first. "Finally, please, there's been a mistake. Our reservation is gone." Kofi raised his hand slightly, not rude, just stopping the chaos. "I'm aware of the situation," he said calmly. That calm voice made everything feel worse, because it meant he already had answers. He looked at the group once, then opened a tablet in his hand. "I checked the system myself," he continued. "There is no mistake." Jabari frowned. "What do you mean no mistake? We paid for this cabin. Nearly $500,000. Kofi nodded slowly like he expected that reaction. "Yes," he said. "And that payment was made." Then he paused. "But not under your names." Silence dropped instantly. Even Jerry stopped typing. Kofi turned the screen slightly so they could see. "The luxury mountain estate was booked under a corporate private account," he explained. "Owned exclusively by Elara Mensa." Sophia blinked fast. "Yes, she booked it for the family." Kofi shook his head gently. "No," he interrupted. "Only Elara had full authorization. Only her credentials can activate access." Another pause. The cold felt heavier now. Jabari's voice dropped. "So what are you saying?" Kofi looked at them directly now. "I'm saying you were never listed as guests." That sentence landed like a physical. Jerry froze. "That's not possible. She invited us." Kofi didn't react. He just continued calmly. "There is no invitation record in the system. No group registration. No family access approval." Sophia's lips parted, but no words came out, because suddenly, The story they had been repeating all day started collapsing in real time. Kofi closed the tablet. "The only authorized guest for this property is Ilara Mensa," he said. "Everyone else is not cleared for entry." A long silence followed, only the sound of wind and distant snow falling. Jabari looked at Safia. Safia looked at Injeri. And for the first time, they all realized the same terrifying truth. They hadn't just been denied entry. They had never been invited in the first place. Safia didn't wait even 5 minutes after Kofi's explanation. As soon as the realization hit her, she stepped away from the others and called Ilara. Her hands were shaking, but not from sadness. From anger. Ilara picked up on the first ring. For a second, there was only silence on both ends. Then Safia exploded. "How could you do this to us?" she shouted. "Do you know how humiliated we are right now? Standing outside like strangers. At Christmas. In front of everyone." Her voice cracked with rage. "You planned this, didn't you? You set us up." Ilara stood quietly inside her apartment, phone pressed to her ear. No rush, no panic, just stillness. She had been waiting for this call without even realizing it. When Safia finally stopped to breathe, Ilara spoke softly. "You already humiliated me first." Safia went silent for half a second. Then she snapped. "What are you talking about?" Ilara didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I was blamed for something I didn't do," she said calmly. "You told everyone I cancelled the trip. You let them insult me. You never even asked me the truth." Safia tried to interrupt, but Ilara continued. "And when I called you, you said Christmas is for blood family only." That sentence landed like a heavy weight on the line. Silence followed again. Longer this time. Ilara took a slow breath, her voice steady but firm. "Remember," she added quietly, "I'm not blood family." That was it. No anger. No shouting. Just the truth they had used against her, now coming back in her own voice. On the other end, Safia didn't respond immediately. For the first time she had nothing prepared. No blame. No excuse. Just silence. Ilara continued, still calm. "You made your choice before this trip even started," she said. "You decided I don't belong. I just stopped pretending I do." Safia finally spoke again, but her voice was different now. Lower. Uncertain. "You're punishing your own family over pride." Ilara almost smiled, but it wasn't happy. "It's not punishment," she said. "It's consequences." Another silence. This one felt heavier than all the shouting before it. Because now Safia understood something she didn't want to accept. Ilara wasn't begging anymore. Wasn't explaining anymore. Wasn't trying to be accepted anymore. She was done. Ilara slowly looked out of her window at the quiet night city. Then she said the final thing, softly but clearly. "I hope you still enjoy Christmas." And before Safia could say anything else, Ilara ended the call. Not in anger. Not in pain. But in finality. And in that moment everything shifted. Not for Safia. Not for the family. But for Ilara, who finally stopped being the person they expected her to be. Ilara didn't go back to the family. She didn't call anyone. She didn't try to fix anything. Instead, she spent Christmas the way she was finally allowed to, on her own terms. Inside the luxury mountain cabin, everything felt calm and warm. The fireplace cracked softly, filling the room with golden light. Outside, snow kept falling slowly over the quiet forest, like the world had paused just for her. Ilara sat near the fire with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. A cup of warm tea rested in her hands. For the first time in years, there was no tension in her chest. No waiting for approval. No fear of being ignored. Just silence. Just peace. And it felt strange, but safe. No one asked her to explain herself. No one compared her to Injeri. No one made her feel like she was extra. Meanwhile, far away, the situation with the family was completely different. They had been moved to a small, cheap motel in the nearest town. The same people who expected a luxury Christmas were now arguing over rooms, heating and blame. Jabari was furious at Safia. Sophia was crying and blaming everyone except herself. Jerry was scrolling through her phone in anger, deleting her holiday posts one by one because nothing had gone as planned. Nobody wanted to admit the truth. They had lost control. And worse, they had lost access. Because later that night, Sophia's phone showed something she didn't expect. All financial links connected to Ilara were gone. The accounts she once had access to were frozen. Trust permissions revoked. Cards disabled. Completely cut off. No warnings. No discussions. Just final. Jabari tried calling banks. Sophia tried messaging lawyers. Jerry tried logging into accounts again and again. Nothing worked. Everything tied to Ilara had been quietly removed. Permanently. Back in the cabin, Ilara placed her phone face down on the table and leaned back in her chair. The fire crackled softly in front of her. Snow kept falling outside the huge glass windows. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't waiting to be chosen anymore. Because she finally understood something important. Love that only takes was never love at all. They said Christmas was only for blood family, so I stopped bleeding for people who never loved me.